Exodus chapter 38. And he made the altar of burnt offerings of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 square, and 3 cubits was the height thereof. So 7.5 feet by 7.5 feet by 4.5 feet high. So the altar of burnt offerings was the first piece of furniture you saw as you walked into the outer court. Verse 2. And he made the horns thereof. Horns are symbols of power. On the 4 corners of it, that's north, south, east, and west. And that represents God's absolute power and authority over the whole earth. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it, the altar, with brass. And as we discussed in the last chapter, this brass came from the brazen censers of the Levites who rebelled against Moses and Aaron. Let's return to Book of Numbers, chapter 16, verse 1. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, all sons of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, and these would be the Levites, 250 princes of the assembly, famous or very popular in the congregation, men of renown. So to fully understand what's going on here, Korah was of the tribe of Levi. In fact, he was the cousin of Moses and Aaron. And remember, the Levites had no inheritance. Their inheritance was being in the service of God. Levi had 3 sons. Merari and his descendants dealt with the hard structures like the walls and pillars. Gershom and his descendants, the soft structures such as the curtains and the roof coverings. And as a descendant of Kohath, Korah and his descendants would take care of the vessels of the tabernacle. But Korah and his followers weren't happy with their station in their service to the Lord. They wanted to hold the office of priests, and Korah wanted Aaron's job as high priest. Reuben was Israel's firstborn through Leah, the wife he was deceived into marrying. And because Joseph, the true heir, was taken into Egypt and out of the picture, these Reubenites, assuming the status of firstborn, would have the prestige and clout among the people. So it would seem that Korah was applying a little political strategy here by getting those Reubenites to support him in his cause. And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation of the tribe of Levi are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord. So he's telling Moses, Listen, Moses, we are all descendants of Levi, sons of Kohath. Who made you boss? And of course God did, and Moses is going to remind him of this. And when Moses heard it, he fell upon his face. And he spoke unto Korah and all his company, saying, Even tomorrow the Lord will show who are his and who is holy, and will cause him, the holy ones, to come near to him, even him who he hath chosen, he will cause to come near unto him. So if you're not happy serving the Lord, let's bring it before the Lord and let him decide. Verse 6, This do, take you censers, Korah and all his company, and put fire therein, and put incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Lord doth choose, he shall be holy. Ye take too much upon you, you sons of Levi. And Moses said unto Korah, Hear, I pray you, you sons of Levi, seemeth but a small thing unto you, that the God of Israel hath separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them? Moses is saying, it's such an honor to serve the Lord in any capacity, and God has blessed you and your family among all the tribes with that honor and great privilege. And he hath brought thee near to him, and all thy brethren, the sons of Levi, with thee, and seek ye the priesthood also? You can really hear the anger in Moses' voice. For which cause both you and all thy company are gathered together against the Lord, you ungrateful, evil man. And what is Aaron that you murmur against him? He's saying, why are you mad at Aaron? He didn't seek his position. He didn't petition me or the Lord. He was chosen for his position by God himself, just as you were chosen for your position. Skip to verse 16. And Moses said unto Korah, Be thou and all thy company before the Lord, thou and they, and Aaron tomorrow. And take every man his censer, and put incense in them, and bring ye before the Lord every man his censer, 250 censers, thou also and Aaron, each of you his censer. And they took every man his censer, and put fire in them. Now I can't help but wonder if they offered strange fire to the Lord, and laid incense thereon, and stood in the door of the tabernacle of the congregation with Moses and Aaron. Skip to verse 35. And there came out a fire from the Lord, and consumed the 250 men that offered incense. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, that he take up the censers out of the burning, and scatter thou the fire yonder. For they, that's the brass censers, are hallowed. The fire from the Lord made them holy. Verse 38. The censers of these sinners against their own souls, let them make them broad plates for a covering of the altar, for they offer them before the Lord. Therefore they are hallowed, and they shall be a sign unto the children of Israel. And Eleazar the priest took the brazen censers wherewith they that were burnt had offered, and they were made broad plates for the covering of the altar, to be a memorial, again memorable, unto the children of Israel, that no stranger which is not of the seed of Aaron come near to offer incense before the Lord, that he be not as Korah and his company, as the Lord said to him by the hand of Moses. Now let's go back to chapter 38 and pick it up at verse 3. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots and the shovels and the basins and the flesh hooks and the firing pans, all the vessels thereof he made of brass. And he made for the altar a brazen grate of network under the compass thereof, beneath unto the midst of it. And this grate was to put the offering on. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings on the side of the altar, to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. So this altar was set on a stone foundation, because the altar had to be high enough off the ground so the priest could continue to add wood and fuel to keep the fire burning, and to shovel out all the burnt ash to keep the fire from smothering. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 9, verse 22. And Aaron lifted up his hand toward the people and blessed them, and came down from the altar, from offering the sin offering and the burnt offering and the peace offerings. And Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle of the congregation, and came out and blessed the people. And the glory of the Lord appeared unto all the people. And there came a fire out from before the Lord, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, which, when all the people saw, they shouted and fell on their faces. So we discussed this a few times before, that this fire from the Lord, or the fire of the Lord, this consuming fire, it's the Lord himself. He is the lake of fire, the Gehenna fire, and the refiner's fire. Our Lord truly is the consuming fire. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 23. Take heed unto yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and make you a graven image or the likeness of anything, which the Lord thy God hath forbidden thee. For the Lord thy God is a consuming fire, even a jealous God. And again, to his children, he is the pillar of fire we read of earlier in this book of the Exodus, that kept his children warm in the cold desert nights and protected them from their enemies. Let's go to the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 28. Wherefore, we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, and why? Because God keeps us safe from all our enemies, let us have grace whereby we may serve God acceptably with reverence and godly fear. For our God is a consuming fire, keeping us safe from all our enemies. And this fire of the Lord that consumed the sacrifice at the altar of burnt offerings was to never go out. Leviticus 6, verse 12. And the fire upon the altar shall be burning in it. It shall not be put out, and the priest shall burn wood on it every morning, and lay the burnt offerings in order upon it. And he shall burn thereon the fat of the peace offering. The fire shall ever be burning upon the altar, it shall never go out. And again, as we discussed in the last chapter, it was the coals from this fire of God that was used to light the incense for the altar of incense, and to light the golden lampstand, the light from the lampstand being a foreshadowing of Jesus Christ. the true light which came from God. Let's return back to Exodus chapter 30. Let's pick it up at verse 17, and let's learn a little bit about the brazen laver. Verse 17, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Thou shalt also make a laver of brass, and his foot also of brass, to wash withal. And thou shalt put it between the tabernacle of the congregation and the altar, and thou shalt put water therein. For Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet thereat. When they go into the tabernacle of the congregation, they shall wash with water, that they die not. Or when they come near to the altar to minister, to burn offerings made by fire unto the Lord. So they should wash their hands and their feet, that they die not. And it shall be a statute forever to them, even to him and to his seed throughout their generations. So this would be a ceremonial washing. Let's return back to Exodus chapter 38, pick it up at verse 8. And he made the laver of brass, and the foot of it of brass, of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. The women assembled to assist in the service of the Lord, probably helping to organize the crowds that would be assembled, and maybe to provide food and water to the crowds and to the priests. And the significance of this laver being made from the polished brass mirrors donated by the Hebrew women would be for the priests to reflect on their sins as they looked at the reflection in this laver. And then they would wash ceremonially the hands that are quick to do evil and the feet that run to do evil. Then they shall be spiritually cleansed before doing the service of the Lord. And he made the court, that's the outer tabernacle, on the south side southward. The hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, and I'll add white linen, white symbolizing purity, and 100 cubits, that's 50 yards. Their pillars were 20, and their brazen sockets 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And again, the fillets are the curtain rods where the hangings or the curtains were attached to. And for the north side, the hangings were in 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets of brass 20. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. So if you remember, the sockets of the inner tabernacle were made of silver. These were made of brass. And for the west side, this would be the back of the tabernacle, were the hangings of 50 cubits, so 25 yards. Their pillars 10, their sockets 10, and the hooks of their pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the east side eastward, this would be the front of the tabernacle, 50 cubits. The hangings of the one side of the gate were 15 cubits, the pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and that hand, were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. And again, linen is white, symbolizing purity. And the sockets for the pillars were of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of the chapters of silver, and all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. And the hanging for the gate of the court was needlework of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And 20 cubits was the length, and the height and the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court. So 10 yards long by 7.5 feet high. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets of brass 4, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their chapters and their fillets of silver. And all the pins, this would be the tent pegs of the tabernacle and of the court around about, were of brass. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted according to the commandments of Moses for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, son to Aaron the priest. And Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. And with him was Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and a cunning workman, and an embroiderer in blue and in purple and in scarlet and fine linen. All the gold that was occupied for the work and all the work of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents and 730 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. So about 2,200 pounds of gold if we use the talent of the sanctuary, which is about 75 pounds. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,703 score and 15 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. So about 7,500 pounds of silver. A bekah for every man, that is half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary, for every one that went to be numbered from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,550 men. So every man 20 years and older had to pay this. And of the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary, that's the inner tabernacle, and the sockets of the veil, and that's the veil to the Holy of Holies, and 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. That's 75 pounds for each socket. This tabernacle could withstand the harshest of winds. It was not moving. And of the 1,775 shekels of the silver, he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid the chapiters, and filleted them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents, that's 5,250 pounds, and 2,400 shekels. And therewith he made the sockets to the doors of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets, and of the court around about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court around about. So we get to see just a glimpse of the wealth that the Hebrews acquired coming out of Egypt. God truly blesses his children.